got a countdown. Whoa. And then I just have to click go live on LinkedIn. Aren't the girls cute? They didn't want to leave, hey? They're like, are you sure you can press go live on 2 tabs? And the procedure's taped down right here. They're awesome. They've got my back.
Oh, they're wonderful.
They are. All right. Now, they told me I could close those, but it's making me nervous, so I'm going to leave them up. Well, no, I better listen. Close, close, close. Okay. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Wonderful.
Okay, so what are we doing here again? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so welcome to the Better Business Podcast, guys. I do this because I always say business can be better, and it should be. And there's just so many business owners out there that need help. And I am always on the hunt for guests who can help business owners in any area of business or life. And I couldn't wait to get you guys on the show with your book also on the show. I don't know what I want to talk about. We haven't planned anything, guys. It's going to be really fun. Robyn and Clint. Robyn is actually an old friend. We're reunited through fate, I think. And Clint is a new friend, but they have a wonderful business. They have an amazing podcast. They have an amazing book. They, talk about power couples. So if you run a business with your spouse, or even if one of you owns a business and the other one runs the household, I feel like you're both running the business, because I know I've had a lot of clients be bringing the other one in on all the decisions. Like, it is still husband and wife team running the business. So their book is called Business Life of Husband and Wife, Ins and Outs and All the Bouts. So I wanted to, of course, talk about the book at first, guys, but can you introduce yourself? I hate introducing guests because I worry that I'll forget like their favorite part of their intro, or that I'll like miss, or I'll say something bad that's not true, and you'll be like, sure. So who are you guys? What do you do? How can you help the business owners that are listening?
Okay, well, I'm Clint Pigeon,
I'm Robyn Pigeon.
and that's so our company that what actually makes us money. I always say the company that makes us money. Right
What?
now,
You haven't sold 1 million copies of this yet?
We're well on our way.
Get an audiobook.
working on it.
It's
We're working on it.
Audible has some decibel restrictions that we're currently working with.
Oh wow, yeah.
Anywho.
Still learning about flexion and voice. We're working on that.
Well, I'm sure it'll
anyway,
be in no time.
We run a company called Two Birds Furniture. We're actually rebranding that just to Two Birds. You'll see that soon if you want to follow us on those. And we do architectural salvage. We started this
in 2013.
So 9 years ago. We've been basically running our business together. Well, pretty much the whole time we've been together. We
were together for like a year and a half, and then we decided to run a business together, because prior to coming together, we each have run our own businesses because we're both happily unemployable.
Yeah.
Read that in the book.
So then we decided to go down the path of starting and running a business together. So like Clint mentioned, that started in 2013 in a 10 by 10 box of a basement of the townhouse we were renting at that time. And it has grown into a standalone facility at 3,500 square feet. And we're dealing with some growth issues right now. So it's growing beautifully. And we've created a wonderful team around us that are allowing that to happen. And that's Two Birds in a nutshell. And then with the beginning of COVID, it did limit a certain component of our business. It just shut down the retail portion. So at that time, Clint and I saw an opportunity, because we were only working 40 hours a week, and we ended up a touch bored. So that's when this happened. We decided to write a book about our experience about running a business together and how we communicate and how we make that work. And then a natural spinoff from that is the podcast, which started this February.
Oh wow, just this February.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like telling my admin team the other day, I'm like, do what Robyn and Clint do. So I thought you guys have been doing it a lot longer. I really love it. It's really great.
No, it was an accident, to be honest with you.
It was, there's a bit of a story behind how it happened.
Yeah, well, one of our clients, when we were doing architectural salvage, she had her property annexed, and we were doing a bunch of building teardowns for her. and she gave us, so we're sitting in a 115-year-old like bunk house, an original bunk house that they used to pull out with team and horses. So she actually gave it to us because they were going to demo it and put it in a pit. So much to Robyn's chagrin, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take that," not knowing what we're going to do with it. And we got permission to park it right beside our building, on our lot here, and we started converting. We were going to do tiny homes. We had all sorts of ideas, and I mean, the podcast just kind of came a natural progression with the book, and so it was kind of an accident that it even happened. It was like the universe telling us this is what we're supposed to be doing. So
Awesome.
So yeah, that's us in a nutshell, really.
there's no history or background. I don't know if people really
No.
need to know that, but
I'm like, we don't
So-
have a set intro.
No, that's good. It makes it more fun. People don't want to come on here and listen to us read things from an agenda anyways. So who needs those? But I did want to take, like, I thought we could use your book as a jumping off point because I thought there were so many good points in there, as you can tell by all the folded pages. Maybe everyone can see this. Yeah. I was
Love
like, ooh,
it.
that's good. But I don't think I'll have time to bring up all that on the podcast. But I could read Robyn. I could totally hear Robyn talking, like, and it's not a bottle of scotch, period. Neat, period. And I'm like, oh, I got a new phone and Siri puts a period after everything I say when I'm voice texting, and now everyone thinks I'm being bitchy. Yeah, watch out if you get a new phone and you don't have time to set it up. But so I thought we could use the book as a jumping off point because it seems like you guys have been in business forever together and that you're doing so great. And I think it was like the last line that said, if you want to see how our company is doing now, check us out at twowordfurniture.ca. And I kind of thought that's where we should start, maybe, like since the book. Like, aren't you guys writing another book?
we are.
Yes, we are.
That's amazing. So what are the most important lessons? Like, you probably know your book pretty well by now. Have you guys been on lots of podcasts about your book?
Enough.
Yeah.
There's still
Well-
things we're like, oh yeah, we wrote that. Let's
Yeah,
be honest,
I
we're not gonna
bet.
say-
I know sometimes I'm like, oh, Steph, the wording on this post. And she's like, oh, well, I copied it from your blog. And I was like, oh.
Oopsies.
You have to fix my blog, Steph. Okay, well, I won't make you talk about the book too much, but what's
Well,
the
that's
second
fine.
book going to be called?
We don't have a title yet, but I'm going to let Clint describe the full details of the second book.
The second book is just going to be a lot more in depth. It's not going to be Business Life of Husband Wife. That'll just be the brand behind it. But it's going to be more in depth in lessons, and we're going to try and do 10 or 12 like serious takeaway chapters. So one of the chapters, I'll just spill the beans. It's going to be on something that we learned about, which is like selective urgency. So being like selective, like everyone kind of knows that term, but we're going to get into it as a couple because a lot of times you won't say something to your spouse, and all of a sudden it's a big deal because maybe you weren't listening. I can say maybe I wasn't listening, but maybe I was, and maybe
Can
I
you
missed
talk
it.
to my husband?
and now it's a big urgent deal that we have to get this done in a short period of time versus that having those intentional conversations that we always talk about and being like very intentional about how we basically put our time together so that we're not always struggling with time. So that's the kind of a Cole's Notes. That's going to be that's very brief on what the chapter's overview is. Just because we think it's a big one. We all do it. We do it with life. We do it with our health. We do it with all sorts of things. And instead of just sitting down and actually evaluating and making a good little plan, plans never always work, but at least you have something to fall back on when the plan kind of goes awry. So,
Yeah.
and you're not in panic mode.
Yeah.
So-
And then what I loved about your first book, you guys were talking about how it made you better. Like, you weren't necessarily doing all these things perfectly at the beginning, but then you're like, yeah, we better do this. And I totally relate, because when I'm writing a blog, I'm like, I'm talking to myself. Like, I'm horrible at this. It's like we often write the stuff we need to hear. So you guys have aced everything in your first book then? You got it all down?
Oh, I don't think you can. You can never say you
You
ace
said
everything.
nothing was off the table.
Nothing is off the table.
No, you can't ace everything though. That would be
No.
just lying to
That would
everybody,
be
right?
boring.
And it would
Yes.
be boring. There's definitely, you can always go back like even our SWOT analysis from the 3rd chapter, you can go into that and you can like check
Yeah.
out our SWOT, and then you can fill out your own. And it's a SWOT analysis is like the most simplistic marketing tool, right? But to use it on yourself and actually like look at your own flaws and your own strengths, and actually, because that's where you start to grow. And we could probably go back there and it would be similar but different,
It
if
would
that makes sense.
shift a little
There'd be
bit.
lots of shifts in
Yeah.
in the different
That was
aspects of
actually
how
one
we
thing I was
run.
gonna. Oh, sorry, Clint. Lots of shifts in which.
Well, just in how we run our lives together and our business is now.
And so, would you guys say that having a business together makes your marriage better or worse?
Way better.
I love that.
I
That
would
just
say
gave me
it's better, yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
I don't know any different,
Yeah, that's true. We don't know any different.
right? And I grew up with folks. My parents have worked together since I don't remember them not, because they're farmers. They've worked on ranches their whole life, so that's normal. So I've never seen anything else. So I think for me, it's just like a natural progression,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And us in our relationship, we've never known any different.
No. Well, I mean, we got together and we both knew we were running businesses, but when you're going different directions all the time, you're not communicating, because I'm working
Over
16
there.
hours over here and she's 16 hours over here. You come home, you see each other, and then that's it. It's like, I don't want to talk about this. I'm beat, or I have more work to do when I get home. So
Mm-hmm.
now we're doing it together at the same time. So, and there's always a goal. There's more of a goal in mind, right? Like there's a lifestyle and a goal and where we're trying to get to. So,
And the business enables you to leverage so many things, right? Whereas being two sole proprietors, oh my gosh, like those chapters made me want to laugh, but also want to cry. Like how much you guys were working. But then it was just like, I'm like, yes, this is it. Like, this is why everyone should have a business if they're brave enough, committed enough, they do their research. There's so many caveats, but why I think so many people should have businesses instead of being a sole proprietor, because you can leverage so many things that you now have this machine running while you get to go to, is it Hawaii that you guys go to? Maui.
Well, we were just there.
yeah,
Yes.
we were just there about 2 weeks ago, but we
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
just went down to Nashville actually this weekend for
Awesome.
for a conference for Arate. So we're part of the group of like the Arate syndicate. So I don't know, people probably
That sounds
don't
like a
know.
crime family.
It
It's
could
not,
be.
I know.
It really could
Just
be,
tell me
depending on
though.
who's operating it that day.
The Aria Syndicate?
Arate.
Arate.
So it means
Arate.
excellence in Greek.
Oh, well, I'm not going to feel bad for not knowing that. I'm not going to pretend. But
I
you
didn't
did
know
tell me
it before we
before,
joined it.
and I didn't
So
remember.
it was
I'm
a
sorry.
business leadership conference. It was mostly on leadership. So like Robert Greene
Awesome.
was there, the 48 Laws of Power author.
Cool.
He was a really interesting speaker.
He was a very interesting
So
speaker.
we're able to leverage, our people that are in place so that we can go and actually come back with really good information from people who are 10 times ahead of us. Because like the leaders of the group they're worth $1 billion almost each. So they've done some
Awesome.
stuff that makes sense, obviously, and they've done the right things.
Absolutely. That's
So
where you
we're
need to
able
be. Yeah,
able to
absolutely.
learn and grow and hopefully bring a little bit of it back. You can't implement everything because everyone's business is going to be different.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's just so much. And even like behind the camera there's like probably over 2,000 books. And yeah, I've read them all. But it's like, and I've read yours and, conferences and coaching and mentoring. And it's like, there's so much coming at you. I think a lot of people find it hard to pick, and nobody that does personal development only does one author or one person,
No.
right? So I love that. I love the group coaching thing. We've got a group coaching program that I love a lot because it's got like a lot of people in there that have, like you said, are way further ahead. But some of the people who maybe aren't at the financial thresholds that they're at have like marriage lessons for them. Like they have a way better relationship, so they'll share that with them. So yeah, I love the whole group coaching idea. That's awesome. So
Mhm.
are you guys going to create your own group coaching program for husbands and wives?
That's actually something that we haven't talked about. We are currently doing it individually through Community Futures here in Okotoks.
Right.
So we both have mentees for the year. But in regards to us starting our own at this point, that is not something that we have discussed.
You're
No,
like, Kelly,
this
shut
is our
up.
tester, right? Like we've each got our own, and actually Robyn, her mentees are a
Yeah,
husband
they
wife
actually
team.
are husband wife team.
Sorry.
And So I think we're probably going to work together, me and Robyn anyway. Like we'll
Yeah.
probably have meetings with both of our mentees for the, because we have to, so it's 4 hours a month that we volunteer our time, and then more if they need it. And they get it
They'll
for
need
8
it.
months plus part of their program. So
Wow.
we'll probably, it's a good trial run. I always like to do a test run on things just to see if we actually can provide enough value back to the people that we're actually, I want to get some feedback on whether or not we're doing the right thing for them and they're getting the right information.
Yeah, I love that. Have you guys read the book Rocket Fuel?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And Clint, you're the visionary and Robyn's the integrator?
100%.
Yeah. Well, I read your book. I wouldn't have said that about you if I didn't read your book.
Well, and you know us.
Are we going to start making fun of the dueling squirrels or the dueling hamsters?
No, because I'm like right in the middle. And my whole role in several companies is supposed to be integrator, because that's what I did for my whole career. Like I ran other people's companies, and then I started coaching 8 years ago or a little bit more. And I think, no, your book's a couple years old now, isn't it? Or a year old?
A year now.
A year old. Yeah, it came out November 2021.
Okay, so we're like within a year of each other of starting this company. I remember that when I was reading your book, but yeah, I forgot the question. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I was talking about. Say whatever you want. I think there's a burden. I'm not even lying. I think that you can't fake live podcasts. There was like a really loud sound above me, and there's like this duct, and it doesn't look like it's properly sealed, and I'm pretty sure it was a bird, like really loudly flapping and a little bit of screeching. So if you see me just dive down all of a sudden, just
We'll know
keep
why.
talking, just keep educating the people, and everything will be fine.
Welcome to Two Birds, Kelly.
Yeah, you planted it for the podcast. Oh, I'll kill you. I'm so scared of birds. Okay,
gosh.
sidebar. Yeah, I was like 10. My brothers were 8 and 6, and we were downstairs in a new house, and we didn't know what the fireplace string was. And we pulled it, and then a bunch of stuff came out of there, but mostly birds. And like a huge bird got on my head, and it was clawing me, and I was just running around, this poor 10-year-old screaming, and then I ran into a wall and knocked myself out.
Oh gosh.
And then my
that's
dad had to
dramatic.
my dad had to come downstairs and like catch the bird with a blanket and stuff. And I was just like, what happened? And then I'm just like, there's birds in our house. So if it's a bird, I'll be leaving. So you two can finish without me.
Yeah, sounds great.
Just click leave when you're done on the app. Okay. So what do you want to make the most important takeaway of this podcast? Like what, if you're only going to get to teach all the business owners that ever hear this, watch this, read about it, see the posts about it. If Steph was like going to take one sentence from you guys and put it in quotes and just put it everywhere, which she probably will. What would be that thing? Like, what's the most important lesson that you think you can give to business owners? And you can choose who are married in business or not, because I mean, like, look at Tim and I, he has a full-time job and he's a professional athlete and he owns half of everything. But I barely talk to him about the businesses, but I mean, he owns half of them. So I do feel like we're in business together, especially when I'm like, can you randomly run to Calgary and right back just for this one shoe? But
Well, I
yeah,
know what
so
the takeaway is for me.
okay.
And I know what my biggest learning curve has been in the last 8 years. And that boils down to the communication. Because for me, I've never been a very good communicator. So that was always the one thing that I had to focus a lot on. And that's one thing that I've struggled the most with. So that would be my
Really?
biggest piece of advice, is to really focus on the intentional communication and just knowing what you're trying to communicate, and then ensuring whom you're communicating that to understands what you're trying to communicate.
Okay. I love this, and I love that you're doing one each. And if we could just talk about that for 1 second. Right before the podcast, I said to Steph, I was like, are Robyn and Clint good going live at 5? She's like, yes. I was like, are they? She's like, I didn't get that specific like sentence from them. And I said, it's okay. I'm surprised that any of us can communicate at all, because we have like such different lenses and such different, like we grew up, I've been on this earth almost 40 years and I've seen a lot of different things than you guys have. And I've talked to different people than you have. And my husband and I think differently than other people, but then the two of us think differently from each other. So when you say something, and especially in business with your team and with the younger staff, especially, I find it can just come across wrong, and you're trying to compliment someone and then they walk away with some story. So we always try to over communicate, but it's, I don't know, what's your trick? How do you make that work? So you said it's been a big learning curve. Do you feel like it's something that you're like getting better at and you can offer some advice on?
I'm definitely getting better at that. And one thing that we actually have done recently is we put our entire team through like a personality testing.
Oh yeah.
So we just did an Enneagram day
Okay.
for everyone in our team just to kind of see where their core beliefs sit, so we can understand who they are and how they best respond to different types of thing and where they naturally go. So even just having that information for me has been a huge benefit. Do I wish we had done it initially with our very first staff 8 years ago? Absolutely. But here we are.
We didn't know
So
about it either
We
though.
didn't
When
know about it.
well, I was 24 when we started the first company. Just I knew everything, head down, work, and it was just work, ego and work as hard as you could go, and don't look up. That was
pretty
five
good
years,
self-awareness.
right? 5 years of
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, we didn't know about it, but the Enneagram's
No.
been good. Like if you guys are wanting to just even do one on yourself, just as a leader, to understand why you do the things you do. Like
Hmm.
I can give you a little story. Like I'm a number 8, they say, and the challenger. Yep,
Oh
100%.
yeah. Oh, I
Like
could, yeah, I would
I
have
will
said that
poke
too.
you and poke you and poke you until you get, but I'm doing it like because I want you to succeed, but you're just not doing it good enough in my opinion. Like that's just something I had to learn about myself. I already
Hmm.
knew I did it, but just getting that little shot in the arm that this is kind of how you react to this situation allows you to just step back and be like, well, I've got a team member who's like a little bit more on the emotional spectrum and not on the mind spectrum because I'm like very logical. I sit in that logical side of the coin.
Yeah,
So
me too.
they sit
Straightforward.
in the heart. They call it the heart triad. So if they're sitting in the heart and they're more emotional about decisions, it's easier to communicate with them and just change the wording and how you present a topic or how you present that they're doing something wrong and how to correct it without being like, you really suck at this and you should, you know what I mean? You can't just go out and be like, hey, you suck. You have to be a little bit more, correct with it and have a little tact. And it's been good for me. The last couple of years, we've been really working on it.
Yeah, we have.
Have a little tact. I think that's the quote. That's
Just
going
A
to be the
little.
cover of the podcast. Have a little tact. Clint Pigeon.
great quote. Great quote.
Yeah. So I kind of get, I see, I seriously, as I was reading your book, I was like, I think I'm more like Rob. No, I'm more like Clint. No, I'm more like, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm in the middle of the integrator visionary spectrum. Mindy forced me to do, like, I thought we were just going for dinner and planning. She's like, you're going to do the quiz today. And I was like, and she's like, because I'm pretty sure you're a visionary. I was like, no. But yeah, I'm like right in the middle. So I have to really
Interesting.
discipline myself to use my calendar. I use my calendar, but it also, I'll be like, hey Siri, can you please schedule an event at 2 o'clock? And she's like, there are 17 other events at 2 o'clock. Should I still schedule your event? I'm like, yes. But so Mindy's like, if no, one at a time. Like that's what you teach. And I'm like, I know, but
But
so
I can do it all.
no, I can't. It just makes me feel bad. So I've been doing better with my calendar, but um, I definitely experienced that, what Clint was talking about with even with some clients sometimes. I feel like I'm a very kind person because I think kindly. I don't know if that came out right, but like I'm never thinking unkind or malicious or like, oh, I want to hurt this person's feelings. I'm thinking like, let's hit the goals. Like, let's be a team. Like, let's have fun. Like, let's be better. Or like, what can I do better? And so my direct style of conversation is often met with either like literally silence or I
Mhm.
don't know.
I can
So
relate.
I've been really working on asking more questions, but even those can sometimes come across, just too direct. And it annoys me that I have to like dial back the directness. Like what we're so Canadian. Like
Yeah.
it's like, let me just beat around this bush for 30 minutes and then did you figure out the question? Like, do you want to guess what I was trying to ask? It's like, no, here's a goal, here's how you're doing, what's the barrier. And so I do have some staff that are like in certain companies that are like, oh, it's you. Like, okay, give me the feedback, I could take it. But you guys know I had a tough year personally, right? At my last KPI meeting, I was like, can I please not have feedback today? And she's like, okay. So yeah, usually I'm all about the feedback and all about communication. But yeah, people think so differently. I don't know.
They
I
do,
do.
and even just acknowledging that people think differently is a massive starting point, I would
Yeah,
think.
you're so right.
It's like eye opening because you're looking
Yeah.
at everybody, and like we have a very diverse team from
Yeah.
the printout that we got and like what everybody's type is. So now we actually have him coming back in to do like a team one, so we can go through how everybody kind of functions and ways of communicating. We actually have him come in for a 4-hour session with everybody. But we have a pretty diverse team. We're only missing 2 numbers off the whole 9. So we're actually, he said, we're, for what we do, we're a pretty diverse group. And I don't even know if maybe that was just like us being like, hey, we need this kind of person in our lives. You know what I mean? Like we got 2 helpers, 2 number 2s.
Yeah,
And they're
need
like,
a foreman.
One in the front and one in the back. Yeah.
right. And we've got one really logical, one who's like they're like the researcher. They know, like, and I'm not a researcher. That's just not my style. Like,
Really?
Okay, I make a decision, let's go. I'll research, but I just need the Coles notes, and then I'll make a decision, and let's go
Yes.
off of all the information from the environment that I've got. And that's just, apparently that's my personality type. It's just, I like to, once a decision's made, I'm not rehashing it 14 times. I've
I
done
get
it.
it.
We're
I
good.
get it.
And Robin's laughing because she knows. I'm like, well, why are we talking about this again? Because
Sometimes I need to re-talk about this.
let's have a funny story time for this one. This one's good. So this is for the couples.
Is Robin leaving? Oh, I was like, you're back.
No,
Okay.
I was just laughing and trying to hide my blushing off screen.
You're not. You're not. And I was gonna say, where's your sunburns? Clint, is your hat on like purposely because you're hiding your sunburn, or did you guys?
I'm hiding my white forehead.
Oh, please let us see. I told everyone this was going to be the best
Nobody
podcast
needs to
I've
see
ever
the
done.
farmer hair.
No,
like it's
Fine.
we
it's
both
not
both
good.
of us have horrible
Fine.
hair today.
Robin, you look adorable always.
Oh, you're the sweetest.
But
She's like, I know.
we do have a good story though for
All
people.
right, let's hear it.
I don't like to reiterate points. Like I have a rule. Like I tell you once, I'll tell you twice. The third time, now you're starting to irritate me. I don't
You
wanna
will tell
3.
twice?
Twice is fine.
Yeah.
Because
What if they
sometimes you might
learn
have
differently
misheard it,
than
or I
you?
just was indirect, or I didn't communicate effectively. The third time, you're just not listening or choosing not to. So me and Robin have this thing, and I'm the same way. But she will visit with me when she's asleep.
I sleep talk.
We have no idea. I didn't realize this was a real thing. So she'll be sleeping. We'll have a whole conversation about something. And the next morning she'll ask me that question. And it, like, for the first year or two, I was just like, this is ridiculous. So now I don't even try to have a conversation anymore at night. Forget it. No,
Go to
we'll
sleep.
just wait.
Shh. Just cover her mouth.
Yeah.
I sleepwalk. I found these pants. I lost these pants at a photo shoot, and they're my favorite pants. They're like silky. They're like high waisted. They're from Guess. They're my favorite pants ever. And I somehow found them in my sleep. I thought it was a dream, but then the next day I was like, Tim, my pants are back, and everyone knew about the missing pants. He's like, I know you woke me up to tell me, and I was like, what? Yeah, he's like, I found my pants. I found my pants.
Oh, so you can relate.
yeah,
It's all
I
good.
can relate.
See, it
Yeah.
happens a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
apparently.
So, Clint, the whole tell you once, tell you twice, third time you're not listening. I get that. And I feel like I learn really well by reading and writing. I have trouble, like if I listen to an audiobook, yet my husband will like take in everything from an audiobook, but he asks me to read text to him. And like sometimes he'll text me too much texts, or he'll just be like it's too much, like he just really learned from listening and doing, and I learned from reading and writing. And we never did the Enneagram, but we did like DISC. We did, oh my gosh, the book's on my shelf, but I can't remember it now. It's like 4 quadrants. So you're like a 3 and a 2 or a 1 and a 4. But there's a lot of different personality tests, and the only thing I don't like about them is that I feel like people can change. Like I feel like once you take that, if you're like typed a certain way, do you guys agree that or disagree that once you see your like what you're inclined to do, are you empowered to change that if you want to, or is that just like this is how I am and I'm not going to grow? Because I know you guys are big personal growth people.
I think that depends on the individual.
Yeah, I think for us it's just a lesson.
Yeah.
It was like, okay,
Where are we at this moment?
well, it just a reality check when I say something to somebody and communicate it a certain way and they don't understand it. It's a good reality check for me to be like, okay, maybe I'm being either too direct or I'm not, be it like I'm not getting the message across how they would receive it, so they understand what we're trying to accomplish, right? So it's just a reality check for
Mm-hmm.
me. Like it's like, oh, okay, well I need to talk to this person a little bit differently than me and Robin have conversations. We even have different conversations on different topics, and some are a little bit more heated and some are not, and like some are like more chill. But again, it's all perspective on what, well, one, what the topic's going to be, two, who you're talking to, right? And
How
three, how
safe it
you're actually
is.
feeling. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're
Yeah.
feeling like, if you're upset or you're emotional and you're having a conversation, 9 times out of 10 you're saying things that you probably shouldn't say
Or
Yeah.
wouldn't
typically.
typically say, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variance to, I think, be you don't want to get typecasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it
No.
was just a good, like, it's a good lesson being like, okay, I kind of sit here because they're not all true,
No.
right? We all have different emotions and we feel things differently and we have different experiences that kind of puts us all over the place.
Did
That's
your
just my,
team feel like it was accurate for them? Were they like, oh yeah, I identify with this?
every single one of them.
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
say every
awesome.
single one.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that before with any test, so that's good. I feel like you
Mm-hmm.
picked a good one.
Well,
So,
from what I understand, it's where your ego sits that you don't even know that you're doing it. So it's like just your it goes right into your subconscious, and that's the idea of the test. It tests where you're subconsciously doing it without even realizing it. So I think just realizing how you react to certain situations and how you communicate, it's just a big eye opener for everybody.
yeah,
And why certain things may cause like frustration, or why they may cause like other emotional responses. Even just knowing that,
yeah,
I think has been very helpful for our team.
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I love that. That's the first time I've heard about a whole team doing a personality test that I was like, I think that was really productive. Because a lot of times I have done that in different companies and not felt like I could pick one that I really love, but I haven't done that one.
Okay.
But so communicating, Robin, for you, you
That
said
was a big one.
was the biggest sort of learning curve, and this personality test helped you guys a lot. Like, what else helped you?
Honestly, practice and trial and error. At
Yeah,
the end of the day, it's just the more times you have to practice and do something, the better you're going to get. So
The 10,000 hours rule.
the 10,000
yeah.
hours rule. And even just like communicating with clients and then communicating with our team. And it's just learning what works for me and finding my own style of communication, and also finding the team that responds well to my style of communication, because I have a
Hmm.
problem of being a little direct as well.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah. So my personality type was the number 3. So which was the competitive achiever.
Hmm.
So my personality is 100% based on efficiencies. So I have a tendency to just want to make everything more efficient, even if it comes down to like the smallest little things where I can actually interrupt people while they're talking, because I find it inefficient that they're taking too long to tell a story. So something as simple as
Oh, I do
that.
that too. I just interrupted you.
It's all good.
And I was a 3-2 on that other test I was telling you about. So if the threes have anything to do with each other.
Interesting. So even just learning that has been very helpful. And it just boils back down to actually just circling it back to the process of doing the SWOT analysis for our book. I would say that that was like a huge turning point for me. Just writing down and actually analyzing my own behavior of what actually are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and how can I work on that. That provided huge value for me.
I love that part of the book. I've never seen anyone take a SWOT and do it on themselves. I was like, this is brilliant. If this is the only thing that couples get out of the book, this will change everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, couple, I don't want to. generalize, but I'm going to. Even like me, somebody who's obsessed with personal development for the last 21 years, who takes courses on everything, who finally got Tim to come with me to courses on everything, like starting 8 years ago, and listens to all the audiobooks, asks people like you guys all the questions. I just sometimes don't feel like it gets across. Like I don't, and I feel like I'm constantly trying to just be the best, be better, be everything for everyone. So Tim, my team, my clients, like Robyn, you really nailed that one. But I have never done a SWOT analysis on myself and been like, admittedly, these are my weaknesses and opportunities. Like never would I do that. Like,
Yeah, shove the ego out of the way for an afternoon and just be honest with yourself. And that was a
yeah.
huge turning point for me.
Thank you so much for that. Just honestly for myself. I don't know if I'll get Tim to do it. Maybe I'll just do it for him and not tell him. But no, I'm just kidding. Well, kind of. But yeah, I'm gonna do that for sure for myself. And I think my team will be very happy about that.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many tools, right, out there, and
Yeah.
they're niche tools, but why can't they be used for other mediums, right? And I think that's might be the visionary that in my brain, where I'm just like, we need to like, it's sitting there to analyze information. Well, that's all life really seems to come down to is it's how we analyze information. So let's sit down and analyze using different tools. And this one is it's so simple. It's such a simple tool. So for me, it was like, let's just analyze it at a more logical level and
Mhm.
without any emotion tied to it. So I think that's the big one is that you take it,
How'd you do that? Sorry to
you
interrupt
just
you again. How did you do
go
that
ahead.
with no emotion?
Without, well, you know what you're good at,
Yeah.
right? You just don't want to tell yourself because you're like, oh, it's a negative thought. Well, is it negative or is it something that you can turn into a positive? So something we learned this weekend, which I thought was really, really well done. One of the speakers was a guy named Damon West, and he has he's
The
the
change
change
agent.
agent.
Yeah.
He's called, and he talks about
Cool.
the three mediums of boiling water. So a carrot, an egg. So you go in hard and become soft. You go in soft and become harder. You go in as a coffee bean and you change the environment around you. So to me, that was like
Wow.
that was big.
I
That was my
love
big takeaway
that.
from the weekend was
Mhm.
how do you
Wow.
affect the environment around you versus becoming hardened to what way you behave or become too soft.
That's awesome. I, I, I I think someone taught me a similar lesson, but it was not as powerful as that. That really hit me. They said, watch your emotional wake, like a boat, the wake that you leave behind you, because you can have a conversation, you can see smiling, whatever, but then as you walk away, you're not seeing the face on the person that you just finished a conversation with. And I learned that one the hard way, like maybe 14 years ago. I was such a bad leader in the beginning, but this lady like lost it on me in front of a lot of people. And she was like heading up the stairs away from our meeting and she just like screamed at me. She's like, I think she said something like, you're so condescending and like you treat people like shit. And I was like, what? Like in my mind, I was like being so patient and kind with her because I was like, this chick needs to get her shit together. Like it was crazy. But I was like, you want to come down here in my office? And she was just like yelling. And then she came in and I was like, holy crap. So I always have that example in mind after I talk to my team because I'm kind of like, okay, like, are they leaving better than they came in? Or are they kind of leaving like, well, I didn't really say what I thought, or like, she made me feel bad about myself, or I'm kind of trying to watch for my emotional wake. But the coffee bean thing, oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was a
that's great.
It was a very powerful like speech that he
mhm.
put together. It was unreal. And he has a very interesting story. If you want to look up Damon West.
Damon West, spelled
Hmm.
Damon
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I totally will. Um, Nashville, you went to?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Real Life is back. Hey, I'm so excited. I don't
It was
know.
incredible. There was 2,500 of us in for this
Awesome.
conference. It was incredible to have that many entrepreneurs together.
Oh yeah, I bet. Just everyone you sit by, you learn from or get
Mhm.
better.
100%.
Um, you guys hate or love Tony Robbins?
Oh, I like Tony.
Yeah, I like them.
Okay, awesome. Have you guys been to his stuff?
Not yet,
No?
no.
Oh, you got to go soon. Cause I'm telling you, he's going to quit soon. Like my mom and I went, probably like 5 years ago, I think. She's like 61. She's like, woo, woo, woo. It's like 3 a.m. She's like running across the hot coals. And I'm like blacking out from fear. I was like, Mom, literally, I think they threw me on there and I just ran across and somehow it worked and I didn't get burned. But then I went to his business mastery in Amsterdam with a friend, an entrepreneur as well. And just like, even though he was like the person that saved my life, like as a teenager, like my mom gave me one of his books. Like I knew everything he was going to say at UPW, Unleash the Power Within, because of his videos. Like I was like finishing his sentences, but there's just something so much more powerful about getting back together in real life and sitting next to somebody who is just being vulnerable with you. And gosh, I don't know. I could cry just thinking about, first of all, the fact that we've connected and that I'm calling us friends. You're friends in my phone. Um, I don't label people. That was a weird thing to say, but I'm glad that we're friends. I'm glad that we're connected. And I just gravitate towards people like you guys because I'm constantly looking to be better and to be a better leader, especially not so I can have more money. That's one of my things. Like, obviously, I want more money to do more good in the world and to have nice things. That's not something I would deny, but I want people to be happy so bad. Like, I want my staff to be so happy and my clients to be so happy. And so I'm constantly working on myself. And so that has developed, or maybe it's still something from childhood that I haven't gotten past, but like I have a pretty negative self talk sometimes. So, what this whole SWOT thing, did you guys find that, or do you ever find that with all the personal development and all the tools and all the books that you could implement, I don't think most guys have this problem, but a lot of females have shared my challenge with it. Do you ever feel like you're not good enough or you're not doing enough, or there's
Constantly.
just so many things to do and you're like, I can do 17 of these, like, but then it's like, my husband's like, I'm hungry. I'm like, I'm not now. I'm not a good wife. Like,
I use that to light my fire though.
hmm.
I use that to inspire me. And then I always like my trick, like my daily task list, I always do the 5 most difficult things first. And I use that voice to fuel the hardest things in my day. And
Hmm.
then I have this massive sense of achievement. And then everything else just kind of happily happens most days.
Did you read that from Tracy? Oh my gosh, he's like an OG personal development guy.
No,
Tracy,
I
he's
got that one from Andy Frisella, the Power List.
okay. He
Yeah.
talks
And
about eat the frogs first.
Oh, I'm going to have
Similar
to
con.
read it though.
Yeah, it's kind
yeah,
of
that
gross
was.
thinking about
I
it.
think everybody goes through that though. To be honest with you, like whether guys want to admit it or not, like
Good
you can
point.
check as soon as you check your ego and you realize like you're not good at certain things, it's going to affect you, right? If you stay in that though, and like you're like, oh, I'm not good enough at presenting to a group of people. Well, you're probably not. But boo
Did I do
hoo.
a bad job for you guys?
No, 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 no.
I'm sorry. I had a
Well played.
glass of
Well
wine.
played though. But you know what I mean. You have that like that negative self talk that you're not going to do well. So
And you
Well,
won't.
and a
you
lot of the
won't.
times the voice in your head is a liar.
Yeah, that's so
Well, it's
true.
just holding you back from your full
Hmm.
potential at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. I
So you can take all those negative thoughts and you just put them in a box and throw them away, because you're gonna have that fear no matter what, that you're gonna be a failure. Or you're not gonna, your family's gonna be disappointed or your spouse is disappointed. But you get, I love this saying, and I this old guy told me this about 7 years ago and it stuck with me. You get 4 quarters plus overtime. Okay. So 20, 20, 20, and 20. When you hit 80 years old, it's overtime. So you get every quarter to execute at whatever you're trying to do. You get 20-year blocks. So that's what I'm like, as soon as he told me that, I was like, it makes a lot of sense. You only hear once and you have these quarters, break them down and do as much as you possibly can to impact whatever you want your life to be or the people around you in each of those 4 quarters.
wow.
Right? There's no, you can't start, like you could start your best quarter when you're 60, between 60 and 80. You could start your best quarter when you're 20 to 40. So to me, that one really, that you have 4 quarters plus overtime. right? And
Yeah.
like you only get one chance, and you have a what is it? Gary Vee always says it's like 600 trillion to 1 chance of being born. So if you're gonna beat yourself up, you're never gonna go anywhere.
Yeah. I just said that today in a blog. It was like, I had those posters when I was a teenager. It was like, weakness or sweat is just weakness leaving your body, and like pain makes you better. And like, I was just so hard on myself. And I drove myself to like a very low bar now. Like looking at my life now, that was such a low bar. But at the time, it was everything. And I grinded my way there through like like just being like, you're not good enough, try harder, like that sort of mentality. And I was a terrible leader. It was not enjoyable. And like getting to it was not exciting. So I was like, oh, well, now my goal is doubles. So I'll just go get that. So I always say there's a really like really, really thick ceiling on like being mean to yourself to achieve your goals. And once you kind of like let yourself off there, try to focus on your strengths. And yeah, like just shut that voice up, like
Mm-hmm.
what do you guys think about counseling? I didn't read a lot. I don't think I read about that in your book.
We haven't done.
We've never done it.
We've never done it. I'm sure. Like I've heard lots of good, like recommendations from people for premarital counseling, through the different churches and like all sorts of different things like that. But it's not something we ever did because like I don't know. I just
didn't feel the
we
need.
came into the relationship just knowing like it may work or it may not, but this is what we're both trying to do. So let's work on it to get there. Like, and it's that old school mentality too. Like you don't throw things away, cause they're broken. Right. So that's a big one is like you try and fix it as best you can. So I don't know. We've never done it. So we really don't have any experience in it. No.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. I read a lot of stuff in the book that made me wonder about that, but I think it's like anything. There's great counselors and there's terrible counselors, and a lot of people have experienced one or the other, and so that's kind of their opinion. But yeah, okay, amazing. I just want to hang out with you all night, but we are over time. So what is like the most important thing you want to leave the audience with? Everybody listening will be a business owner.
Okay.
Oh geez,
Clint, you do yours.
I had to do mine. I forgot what I had. I had two good ones, and then we got into a conversation. I'm like, oh, and there goes the squirrels talking again.
That happens to be constantly. Yeah.
The biggest takeaway, I guess, from a couple's perspective, would be just be open and honest with what you require in your life.
That's a good one.
Like, these are what I need. It doesn't have to happen right now, but these are things that like I need, whether it's for like my success goals or my relationship goals or my family goals, whatever it is, just be open with that. They're either good. Most times your partner's going to accept it, and you can have a conversation about how you both can get to that level. I think that would be the big takeaway from that. And from a business perspective, I mean, don't give up. Everybody wants to, like, as soon as you quit, there's like another big, Robyn took this big.
This one stuck.
This one stuck is it. If you drained Lake Michigan and you put 1 cup of water in every day and it doubled, so 1 to 2 cups, and every day you got that. So then it's 4 cups, and then it's 8 cups, and so forth. It would take 70 years to start seeing water in there. So your effort level it grows and you get better, and you're going to make mistakes. So don't quit because it gets hard. Right? As soon as you quit, it's over.
Well, and a lot of the progress goes unnoticed, or not unnoticed, but like unseen.
Yeah. It's like the corn underneath the ground before it comes out or whatever. You're not stomping on the ground being like, come on, get out here. I failed. Like it takes work.
Yeah.
I think that would be the biggest takeaway. And the biggest lesson I got told by somebody, and I finally figured it out. It only took me 8 years, was learn what you can do in 40 hours and then condense that into 8. So what can you do? Okay, I can do this amount of work in 80 hours. Now, how do I make that happen in my business in 8 hours? So how do I condense 40 hours into 8?
Yeah. You switched it out for 80 though, eh?
But
that comes down to your people and your processes and your implementation.
Leverage, right? Yeah. So then why would you say that your recommendations are really important? Like, I'm going to tell people to watch and listen to this because you two are interesting and kind and successful. And I think you're awesome. And I would love for people to be able to follow you guys. And I will ask you to give us all your handles and stuff. But a lot of people from this podcast will reach out to guests and like buy product or join their coaching group, or whoever I have on, they'll reach out to them because of one thing that people say. And it's always the one consistent part is that last question that I ask is like, why is that important right now? So what you've shared, your top things, like your communication, and Clinton, both of your points, which those were huge. And thank you. And Robyn, I totally also, just so you know, I have to sleep till 9 a.m. Like, I was so embarrassed to tell people that in the first 10 years of my career. I'm like, I can't go to these freaking breakfast clubs at 5:30 a.m. I'm sorry. Like, I don't fall asleep till 2 because I'm thinking about work. Like,
And that's
I
fair.
can't
I'm
work
completely
before. Yeah.
opposite.
So
I
like,
love to go to bed at 9.
I'm identical to you.
Yeah.
I'll work till midnight, 2 in the morning, and then you want me to? I'm a diesel. You want me to start? Come on now. It's cold outside.
my husband just got a diesel, so I can't. No, just kidding. I know what that means. But seriously, so the lessons you guys shared, like don't quit, and the other three, and so much else. But why do you think, especially don't quit? Why do you think that this message or the other messages that you shared are important for business owners to hear right now?
Because there's so much negativity in the world and so much negative self-talk that is like right in your face on your phone, that if you're not trying to find positive spins and ways to be better and get away from that and spread a better message to the world and to like even your community that you're in, and trying to make people better, then you're going to get drugged down into things that you don't want to be in.
Mm-hmm. And I would just add to that for all the entrepreneurs and everyone out there, that they're not alone. Like, we're all going through this. And sometimes entrepreneurship can be very lonely because you feel like you're the only one and there's this mountain of tasks that you always have to take on, but you're not the only one, because we're all going through, I like to say, the blood, sweat, tears, and bullshit every single day. So it's nice to have a community of people going through the same stuff as you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for people who don't have that, where can they follow you guys?
Our website is businesslifeofhusbandandwife.ca, and then also on Instagram at businesslifeofhusbandandwife, and then on Twitter
It's
at
the Biz Life couple.
And then if you want to take a look at our Two Birds stuff, it's twobirdsfurniture.ca.
Oh, guys, I really recommend taking a look at that, by the way. And I never let anyone sell anything on my podcast, but I'm honestly, my whole staff was like, when are we going to have Robyn and Clint? Like, ever since you got on our email list somehow, I don't know when it was when we reconnected, but they were like, have you looked at this website? And I'm like, yes, yes. But yeah, the girls are going to be very excited for this. They're probably actually watching it at home right now, which is technically work, and they're not supposed to work after hours. So, but yeah, okay, guys. So thank you so much. I usually sum up the lessons, but I feel like there were so many that I can't. And I would just embarrass myself trying to remember them all. So we'll just type a nice summary up underneath and put it with the post. But there's one more thing I always ask for at the end. And I think that Robyn probably read the agenda. Clint may have, but it's called a quick
I skimmed
tip.
it. I'm a real good skimmer.
I'm like, can we call Jenny? Because she read it.
Yes. No, you can't. So quick tip. And you guys don't need to rehearse or practice or get ready for anything. We all know that. Like, we just wanted to get on and be authentic, right? But people love, so they listen to all this, right? And they're like, oh, I gotta change my life. I gotta be better. I gotta personal development. They're like, they hear all these things. They're like, it's so much. I'll just drink a beer and watch Seinfeld. I don't know. My husband's been watching that lately, but no, we're very high achievers. But seriously, sometimes you got to shut off. But so I really love to be able to tell the audience at the end of a podcast, like, okay, you learned a lot today. And if you could only take one thing from our guests and you had like one quick tip means like actionable in your business, apply it tomorrow and start to see results. It could be anything.
Mine would be that power list. Do the 5 hard things first, and the rest of the day will be a breeze. That's my key to winning every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Actionable things, hey?
Clint's
There's
like,
there's
Robyn,
so
can you do
many,
mine?
Kelly. You're
Give me
killing me
one.
here.
Quick one.
Easy one. You could have already
Quick
told
one.
us.
Honestly, and I can't even. It's not even my idea, but I love the concept, and I didn't even bring it up. And it's from Ed Milet.
I've
Um,
been following him, by the way. Thank you. And I got his book. Thank
yeah,
you.
he's great.
The book is amazing.
I haven't read it yet. I read yours first. So hopefully
Thank
that's
you.
a huge
and
compliment. But I'll read his next.
but his actionable thing is always to do. I can't even remember now. I just blanked,
10%
Kelly.
See it?
more?
Yeah, Robin's got it.
What he likes to do is with all of the people in his life, his staff, all of that kind of stuff, he likes to go up to people and say, let me tell you about you. Because at the end of the day, people will remember how you made them feel, not particularly what you said to them. So he does it all the time, every single day with his daughter, well, with both children. And then he likes to, every single one of his staff is, let me tell you about you.
I have
And he just
goosebumps right
lists off
now.
all these amazing things about them.
Okay, good. I was like, tell me they're good things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the good things.
Yeah, just to promote that positivity, like so.
Because he leaves the people feeling incredible about themselves.
And that's something you can do with everybody. It doesn't matter. And if they're in a bad mood, you just smile at them and say, like, you know what? You're an awesome, awesome person, and you've done so well like today. Like, good job. And you just even give them a fist bump. It's like the littlest thing. I think that's actionable that you can take to your team and just make them feel like they're welcomed and wanted and appreciated what they're doing within your organization.
Absolutely. I adore that. I have a partner in one of my businesses who is that for everyone, and they love him. They literally are like, can I meet with Ryan instead? Yes, you can. But he's a visionary, so good luck. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to share, like places people should go or anything you want people to remember?
Honestly, go read all the books. All so we've talked about Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, Robert Greene,
The Rocket Fuel.
Rocket Fuel. Go grab those
Gino
books.
Wickman.
Yeah, we've talked about quite a few. Go grab the books. Even if you want to grab ours, great. That's awesome. And you can take some stuff. What I want you to do is read it and just take one thing.
Yeah.
One thing away from each one and implement those. Don't try and take all of it. Just take one thing, implement it. That's all you need to do. Just one task, one thing that you think that is going to benefit what you're trying to do. Don't try to do it all.
Good advice. Really good advice. The Slight Edge is a book about that. If anybody else wants another book to read, but just one incremental change, it's like totally changes where you're going to end up in 10 years. So thank you guys so much. I love you more every time I see you. And I really appreciate you taking this time out of your really busy lives to help our listeners. And I hope people follow you because we're following you and we're really excited every day just to see what you guys are up to. And
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you
we
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you. And thanks for being those people that are making such a positive difference in the world and in your community. I get to see both. Lucky me. But I don't think you really know what you do for others. So thank you guys so much. And on behalf of the audience as well, thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Okay.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
You too. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.